Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, the closing arguments right now in Donald Trump's criminal trial. Next, the jury gets this case. Also developing the tornado watch right now and the new dangerous system sweeping through. And the major building explosion debris raining down, the images coming in now. First tonight, jurors listening intently, Donald Trump looking at the jury, the defense lawyers and the prosecution directly addressing the jury, making their closing arguments, what both sides argued in these final hours. Also tonight, this dangerous system sweeping through with speed and damaging winds, and the tornado watch right now. After deadly storms this holiday, the woman who survived holding onto a doorknob in her home. Ginger Z is here tracking this new threat in the hours ahead. The images coming in tonight, that massive building explosion late today in Youngstown, Ohio. They are trying to account for everyone, first responders racing to the scene. The urgent manhunt tonight for 3 suspects in the killing of a former actor on General Hospital. Authorities believe the actor interrupted them as they were stealing a key part from his car, a part authorities say has valuable metals being stolen and resold. Also just in tonight, a U.S. military jet has gone down, an F-35 fighter jet crash. We have news on the pilot's condition. And the other plane crash, 7 people jumping out and surviving. Tonight, Israel intensifying its ground assault on Rafah after that deadly Israeli airstrike that killed 2 Hamas leaders and then ignited a fire on a camp, killing dozens of displaced Palestinians. Back here at home tonight, Jimmy Kimmel's emotional message about his 7-year-old son's 3rd heart surgery. Tonight, the news on Bruce Springsteen, the new message he has now posted. And Diane Sawyer is here tonight, the ABC News exclusive. The sisters of Nicole Brown sitting down with Diane 30 years after Nicole's death. Just weeks now after O.J. Simpson's death, their message now to any family facing down domestic violence and grief.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to be back with all of you at home after the Memorial Day holiday. I know for many of you it brought devastating storms. There are new concerns right now, and we'll go to Ginger Z with this new forecast in a moment. Also news on that major building explosion a short time ago in Ohio. But we are going to begin tonight with the dramatic scene playing out in court, closing arguments in the criminal trial of former President Trump. Tonight, the jury has now agreed to stay later than normal to wrap up these closing arguments. The jury will then get this case. All day today, the defense addressing the jurors, then the prosecution making its closing arguments right to the jury, too. Donald Trump studying the jurors' faces as well, all listening intently. ABC senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky leading us off with the scene inside that courtroom, who was there, who was noticeably absent, and the final argument from both sides.
Tonight, a jury of 5 women and 7 men on the brink of deciding the first ever criminal trial of a former American president.
We'll see how it goes. This is a very dangerous day for America. It's a very sad day.
In a packed and stuffy courtroom, jurors heard hours of closing arguments. The defense went first, telling jurors they cannot convict former President Donald Trump based on testimony from the prosecution's key witness, Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen. Defense attorney Todd Blanche said Cohen told you a number of things on that witness stand that were lies, pure and simple. He called Cohen the greatest liar of all time, an MVP of liars, and said Cohen came to the witness stand bent on revenge with an axe to grind. But when Trump's lawyer told the jury you cannot send someone to prison based upon the words of Michael Cohen, Judge Juan Merchan said that went too far, calling the comment outrageous and improper, and then reminding the jury they have no say on sentencing. The jury listened as Blanche said Trump did not commit any crimes and distanced the former president from the invoices and records presented in the case, insisting Trump was too busy to look at the checks he signed and there was no conspiracy to influence the 2016 election. Trump is facing 34 felony counts of falsifying business records to conceal a $130,000 hush money payment 12 days before the 2016 election so voters wouldn't learn of his sexual tryst with porn star Stormy Daniels that Trump denies ever happened. On the witness stand, Daniels provided details that prosecutors today said were cringeworthy but ring true, from what Trump was wearing to the contents of his toiletry bag. Trump's lawyers called Daniels' testimony pure embarrassment meant to inflame the jury. The defense arguing Daniels was out to extort Trump, saying she saw a time to strike after the release of the Access Hollywood tape, where Trump was caught on camera bragging about groping women.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Prosecutors called that Access Hollywood tape the equivalent of a Category 5 hurricane hitting the campaign. But the defense said it wasn't a doomsday event. Trump was merely concerned about his family and his wife. Before his closing was finished, Blanche with his final words to the jury. This isn't a referendum of your views on President Trump. This is a very easy and quick, not guilty verdict. But then it was the prosecution's turn, putting Trump at the center of what it called a conspiracy and a cover-up that could very well be what got President Trump elected. That Trump was deeply concerned Daniel's story was capable of costing him the whole election, and he knew it. So prosecutors argued that's what motivated Trump to disguise the payments as legal expenses. Prosecutor Josh Steinglass addressing critics of the case, you may say, who cares? Who cares if Mr. Trump slept with a porn star 10 years before the 2016 election? But he added it's hard to say that the American people don't have the right to decide for themselves. And the prosecutor acknowledging Michael Cohen's a complicated witness, saying the defense goes on and on about Michael Cohen is immoral or a liar or a thief. We didn't choose Michael Cohen to be a witness. We didn't pick him up at a witness store. The defendant chose him as a fixer because he was willing to lie and cheat. And the prosecution in their closing argument also bringing up that Access Hollywood tape, directly refuting what the defense had said, arguing the defendant's primary concern was not his family, but the election. Jurors watched it all intently, along with Trump's eldest sons and daughter Tiffany, who joined him in court today, but notably absent, daughter Ivanka and Trump's wife, Melania.
So let's get right to Aaron Katersky, live again tonight outside the courthouse. Aaron, the jury agreeing to stay later than normal tonight to wrap up these closing arguments. Take us inside the courtroom. The defense directly addressing the jury, the prosecution directly addressing the jury, and at times you reported Donald Trump squarely studying the jury, too.
He occasionally glanced right over at the people who will decide his fate, those 5 women and 7 men, David. Sometimes he kept focused on his lawyer or shook his head if he heard something he didn't like from the prosecutor. But after these lengthy closing arguments and 5 weeks of testimony from 22 witnesses, the jury will have this case tomorrow. David?
Aaron Katersky leading us off here. Aaron, thank you. We turn now to the breaking news. The images coming in right now from downtown Youngstown, Ohio, the scene of a massive and devastating building explosion. A bank on the first floor ripped open. There were alarms just before the explosion. Apartments in the building above. Tonight, the race to account for everyone there. Several people rushed to the hospital. ABC's Perez with late reporting for us.
Tonight, a terrifying building explosion in Youngstown, Ohio, just before 3 o'clock, sending debris flying and creating a plume of dust. The front of a Chase bank on the first floor ripped off. One witness standing about 30 feet away says he heard an alarm sound right before the explosion.
People were running all over the place, smoke, debris. There was stuff coming like insulation and paper flying all over the place coming out of the bank.
Seen multiple ambulances at this location. Multiple people trapped in the basement. Rescued one, we're working on a second.
First responders scrambling to the scene to rescue residents from apartments in the building. Fire officials say at least 7 people were transported to the hospital, 1 in critical condition. At least 2 people are still reported missing. And David, witnesses reported smelling gas after the blast, and authorities say that is one of the possibilities they are investigating as they work to pinpoint what exactly caused this blast. David?
Perez tonight. Alex, thank you. It was a weekend of deadly Memorial Day storms, and then today another dangerous system sweeping right through from Dallas to Houston. There is a tornado watch right now as we're on the air. Ginger is standing by for us. This all comes after tornadoes and severe storms from Texas all the way up to the northeast. This tornado just south of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Ginger has these new storms tonight, and ABC's Mireya Villarreal in Frisco, Texas tonight, north of Dallas.
Tonight, after a devastating and deadly Memorial Day holiday weekend of violent storms, yet another horrific system sweeping through Texas.
Oh my God!
Torrential rain inundating drivers on Interstate 635 in Dallas. CCTV footage showing this American Airlines plane pushed by the wind away from the gate at DFW Airport. American says high winds affected multiple aircrafts. More than 600 flights in and out of Dallas airports canceled. In Garland, Cindy Knowles and her husband nearly crushed by that tree on their house.
Had you waited 10, 15 seconds longer, you would have been right there where that tree fell.
We would have been under it. Definitely so.
By the time the storms made their way to Houston, outages topped 1 million across the state.
Cover your head! Cover your head!
This latest round comes after a deadly weekend with more than 70 reported tornadoes. horrifying video showing motorists sheltering from an EF2 tornado at this gas station in Valley View, Texas. Not far from there, Yolanda Vasquez showing me how she survived.
Just holding at the doorknob, that's it.
Just holding a doorknob.
And praying to God.
David, the home you see behind me just had a new roof installed after suffering from hail damage that it received a few months ago during a storm. Lightning hit it this morning, and then a fire basically consumed the entire thing. Everyone was safe inside, but needless to say, people here in North Texas are on edge, knowing that more rain is in the forecast for later this week. David.
Wow, that home hit twice this spring. It's been just a devastating spring. Mireya, thank you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z tracking it all again tonight for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hi, David. The busiest severe weather season to date in 13 years. So it is definitely not something we're imagining here. And it keeps going tonight. We've got those storms that are blasting on I-10 just west of New Orleans. That's from the morning storms that hit Dallas, but also brand new ones coming into the high plains from Colorado down through the Texas Panhandle. We're going to see more action as we go through tonight. And then after the sun sets, things will start to diminish a bit by 2 a.m. or so. It'll kind of die out. But then tomorrow, we're going to look for a new area that is Rockies and high plains. You could see big hail and also damaging winds as the main hazards. Rapid City is in that region. And then North Texas, David, gets it again by Thursday.
All right, we'll be watching it all week right here with you. Thanks, Ginger. We turn now to the urgent manhunt for 3 suspects in the killing of a former actor in General Hospital. Authorities believe the actor interrupted them as they were stealing a key part from his car. A part authorities say has valuable metals being stolen and resold. Matt Gutman from Los Angeles tonight.
Tonight, the LAPD seeking the public's help to locate the suspects involved in the tragic murder of former General Hospital star Johnny Wactor.
Suspects are 3 males wearing masks. Weapon used, an unknown caliber handgun, still outstanding.
Early Saturday morning, his mother says Wactor was leaving his bartending job and walking to his car with a female co-worker in downtown Los Angeles.
He saw his car kind of jacked up to one side, and he said, hey man, you towed my car.
3 suspects allegedly trying to steal the catalytic converter.
And Johnny immediately stepped in front of the co-worker, and the person shot him right then, point blank.
According to police, the suspects, wearing dark clothing, then fled the scene in a dark-colored sedan. The 37-year-old was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead.
She kicked me out.
Wactor was best known for playing the role of Brando Corbin in more than 100 episodes of General Hospital.
So you're taking me to jail?
He also appeared on shows like NCIS and Criminal Minds. His family devastated by the loss.
One of the worst parts is just not being able to have a conversation with him again. It's one of my best friends.
David, theft of catalytic converters has been epidemic the past couple of years because of the value of the precious metals they contain. Now, the LAPD telling us their homicide investigation is now in full swing. They're trying to get some of the surveillance video from that area, but they tell us they have made no arrests and they have no suspects. David.
Matt Gutman reporting from L.A. Matt, thank you. Tonight, Israel is now pushing farther into Rafah, and the White House is now condemning the loss of dozens of civilians after an Israeli airstrike killed 2 Hamas leaders, but so many civilians, too, when a fire then ignited at a camp. Tonight, the White House telling reporters Israel has not violated President Biden's red line. Britt Clennett in Israel again tonight.
Tonight, sources tell ABC News Israeli tanks have moved into the center of Rafah following an airstrike Sunday evening that triggered a catastrophic inferno at a refugee camp there. 50 Palestinians were killed, about half of them women and children, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Alwa Naif says she could hear Sunday's explosions less than a mile away.
What did it sound like?
We understood that this is something very big.
The IDF said that the fire ignited due to unforeseen consequences.
Are you saying nothing went wrong operationally?
The attack per se was according to procedure. The reason for the casualties was the fire that broke out afterwards.
Israeli officials say the strike that killed 2 Hamas leaders may have triggered secondary explosions, possibly from stored weapons or fuel canisters nearby. Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu called it a tragic mishap, but the attack drew international condemnation.
We've all seen the images. They're heartbreaking, they're horrific.
David, the White House tonight saying it does not believe any red lines have been crossed because it's not a full-scale ground invasion in Rafah, adding that it sees nothing to prompt a change in U.S. policy towards Israel. David.
Britt Clinton in Tel Aviv for us. Thank you, Britt. We turn next this evening to the Diane Sawyer exclusive, her new interview with Nicole Brown's sisters. It comes 30 years after Diane's first interview with the family after Nicole was killed in June of 1994. And tonight here, just weeks after O.J. Simpson's death, their message to any family facing domestic violence and grief. Here's Diane.
It's been 30 years since Nicole Brown was murdered, and I walked into the living room where her family had gathered. 3 sisters in shock and anguish, Denise, Dominique, and Tanya. And now, the 3 sisters walk into the room today.
Hi. Beautiful lady.
30 years.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
A new Lifetime documentary has unearthed pictures and videos of their radiant sister Nicole, with all her vitality and warmth, a loving mother.
I love you. Love you. It's the voice of Nicole that we wanted to hear. I hope they get a true sense of who Nicole is in this documentary.
She was only 18 years old, working as a waitress in the hope of studying photography when a glamorous customer fastened on her. At the time, their sister didn't tell them the truth of his brutality.
I saw a picture, you know, the very young Polaroid picture of Nicole?
Right.
I said, oh my God, Nick. I said, look at that black eye. And she said, no, it was the makeup artist at the studio. I didn't know it was a real black eye. I had no idea.
Later, they were stunned when they read Nicole's chilling secret diaries of her life. Dominique found them.
I found her will, her diaries just stacked in a box underneath the kitchen cabinet with the kids' artwork and a bunch of other stuff.
So she was trying to hide it.
Yeah. It wasn't next to her bed where she might write, where he might look. It wasn't on her mattress. It wasn't any place obvious.
From her grave, the truth. The attack the first year they met. He threw a fit, chased me, grabbed me, threw me into walls. For the past 30 years, the Brown sisters have fought for the protection of women in abusive situations. Denise helped secure funding for the Violence Against Women Act.
We are going to stand up and say no.
And has traveled the country using the power of Nicole's story.
I sit there and I go, why did it have to take my sister? Why did it have to take Nicole for people to understand that domestic violence can kill?
Our thanks to Diane and to Nicole's sisters, their bravery, their courage all these years later. And the new Lifetime documentary, The Life and Murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, premieres this Saturday. And Diane, of course, will have much more with Nicole Brown's sisters tomorrow on Good Morning America. In the meantime, when we come back here tonight, the news coming in this evening, there's been a crash of a U.S. military jet, an F-35, and then the other plane crash, 7 people jumping out and surviving. And the new headline tonight involving Bruce Springsteen, his new video message in tonight. Tonight, news here on an F-35 crash. First responders on the scene of a Marine F-35 fighter jet going down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The new F-35 crashing shortly after takeoff from Albuquerque International Airport. The pilot ejecting in serious condition tonight. To another plane crash and a remarkable escape in Butler, Missouri. The small Cessna going down in a hayfield. The pilot and 6 skydivers jumping and parachuting to safety. The passengers jumping first, followed by the pilot. They all survived. When we come back tonight, Jimmy Kimmel's emotional message, his 7-year-old's 3rd heart surgery, and the news on Bruce Springsteen tonight, his new message here. To the index tonight, and Jimmy Kimmel revealing his 7-year-old son, Billy, underwent his 3rd open heart surgery this weekend. Kimmel sharing this image here of his son, Billy, smiling in his hospital bed, saying he's happy and healthy, thanking the brilliant medical staff at Children's Hospital, Los Angeles. Of course, we're all cheering for Billy right here. In a moment here, the new video put out by Bruce Springsteen, his new message tonight. Before we go tonight, the boss is back, but his doctors are asking him to slow down a bit, at least for a few days. Now 74, the boss apologizing for canceling 3 dates on his European tour. His doctors telling him to rest his vocal cords for about 10 days. In a new message tonight, Springsteen promising to return.
I could not sing for you, but we will be back to Marseille, to Prague, and to Milan to give you the show of your life that I promise you.
As you know, Springsteen was sidelined for months because of peptic ulcer disease. He plans to resume the tour in Madrid June 12th. Of course, we can't wait. Got to listen to your doctors. I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here from all of us here. Have a good evening. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.